Welcome back to the IGC Gate podcast. I am Zayd Haji, author, research student, management consultant, and counselor. We are living through one of the biggest shifts in digital history. Search is no longer confined to Google. Discovery is happening on Instagram, TikTok, YouTube, Reddit, and increasingly through AI systems like ChatGPT, Gemini, and Perplexity. At the same time, the traditional SEO playbook that businesses relied on for decades is being rewritten in real time. In today's episode, we explore how social media has evolved into the new search engine, why visibility now begins inside feeds before people ever type a query, and how AI-generated answers are changing the way brands earn attention, trust, and traffic. More importantly, we will examine what this means for marketers, entrepreneurs, creators, consultants, and business leaders who want to remain visible in an environment where clicks are declining, citations are becoming the new rankings, and brand presence across the internet matters more than ever before. If you want to understand where search is heading, how social SEO works in 2026, and what businesses must do to stay relevant in an AI-driven discovery ecosystem, this conversation will give you a practical framework for navigating the future. Let's begin. Part 1. The Discovery Revolution. If you are tuning in today as a student trying to map out a future career, a professional watching your hard-earned skill sets shift beneath your feet, or an entrepreneur trying to keep your digital storefront visible, I want to invite you to look at a very specific quiet crisis happening right now. Every single day, we operate under the assumption that the infrastructure of the internet is a static landscape. We wake up, we have a question, and we think we possess the agency to open up a traditional browser, type a fragmented phrase into a blank white box, and choose our own destination from a clean list of blue links. But that reality has fundamentally broken. While most marketing departments, corporate executives, and traditional training programs are still operating on a playbook written a decade ago, the ground has shifted entirely. We are witnessing the absolute collapse of the search ecosystem as we know it, and it is happening because human behavior and technological architecture have collided in an unprecedented way. Right now, someone is searching for exactly what you offer, precisely the skill set you possess, or the specific solution your business provides, but they are not looking for you on a traditional search engine. The modern audience is bypassing the browser entirely and taking their intent directly to platforms like Instagram, TikTok, and YouTube. When you look at the raw data governing human attention in 2026, the numbers are staggered. Instagram alone processes over 6.5 billion searches daily, while YouTube handles upwards of 3.5 billion search queries every single 24 hours. For Gen Z and the rising generation of digital natives, TikTok has officially overtaken traditional platforms for product discoveries, structural HowTOS, and critical career questions. If your definition of being discoverable relies solely on ranking a text-based page on a traditional index, you have effectively become invisible in the exact moments that matter most. The real battle for visibility is no longer fought in the sterile environment of a search results page. It happens inside the active, fluid feeds of social platforms long before a user ever considers opening a desktop browser. This shift runs much deeper than a simple change in platform preference. It represents a psychological evolution in how human beings consume information. When you want to learn a new professional skill, verify the authenticity of a product review, or understand the mechanics of a complex system, your natural instinct is to seek out immediate visual validation. You want to see the concept in motion, analyze the execution in real time, and evaluate the credibility of the person delivering the message rather than wading through thousands of words of generic, search-optimized text. Social platforms are no longer just passive entertainment hubs where content merely lives to be scrolled past. They have transformed into the definitive front door of human curiosity. The systemic problem facing most professionals and brands today is that while human discovery has transitioned into this highly social interactive space, their professional presence remains locked in an older, unstructured format. If the platforms that billions of people use to find answers cannot actively recognize, index, and surface your specific knowledge or product, your competitors will inevitably capture that demand before you even realize it exists. To navigate this landscape effectively, we have to discard the lazy assumption that all platforms handle search intent in the exact same way. Discovery requires a strict diagnostic understanding of platform demographics and search frequencies. For instance, audiences engage with search bars on Instagram and YouTube on a relentless daily cycle, whereas their search behavior on platforms like Facebook or TikTok operates on a weekly cadence, and professional networks like LinkedIn see highly specific search behaviors occurring on a monthly basis. This diagnostic map tells you exactly where to deploy your intellectual capital. If your focus is consumer facing, your immediate priority must be Instagram and YouTube because that is where the volume of daily transactional intent resides. If your focus is strictly business to business or highly technical, your energy must converge on LinkedIn and YouTube with the explicit psychological understanding that a professional network requires deep consistency over time to build structural authority because its users search less frequently but with far greater specificity. Once you align your presence with the correct demographic platform, you have to fundamentally transform the way you construct your information. You must start treating every single piece of social media content with the exact same architectural rigor that you would apply to traditional technical writing or structural data optimization. Your descriptive captions, your opening hooks, your on-screen visual text, and even the verbal phrases you speak aloud in the first 5 seconds of a video must explicitly mirror the natural sentences that human beings type when they are frustrated, curious, or looking for a solution. The moment you understand that social search is the current front door of human discovery, you stop writing for superficial aesthetic appeal and start writing for semantic clarity. This brings us to a highly disruptive reality that defines our current era. Digital discovery now starts directly in the feed, completely detached from traditional search intent. For more than 2 decades, the entire internet was built on the concept of explicit intent, meaning a user had a conscious question, formulated a specific query, submitted it to a system, and evaluated the options. Today, that entire behavioral model has been flipped on its head because the underlying algorithms are engineered to surface definitive solutions to people before those individuals even consciously realize they have a problem. You no longer win the game of digital visibility by simply waiting inside a search bar for someone to find you. You win by inserting yourself cleanly into the feed with such precision that you interrupt the scroll by answering an unvocalized need. Think closely about your own daily digital patterns and the quiet moments of friction you encounter. You find yourself scrolling through a platform, and a creator or a specialist suddenly shows you a specific workflow adjustment, a technical tool, or a psychological framework that perfectly solves a systemic bottleneck you have been struggling with for months, even though you had never explicitly typed that problem into a search box. That precise interaction is the modern point of discovery. Across every single industry, users are encountering their ultimate choices in real time through highly condensed tutorials, functional demonstrations, side-by-side technical comparisons, and direct, transparent breakdowns. By the time a professional or a consumer finally decides to open a browser to conduct formal research, their psychological preferences have already been completely shaped, and their ultimate decision has essentially been finalized before an explicit search ever takes place. This absolute inversion of the traditional model rewards a completely different style of creation and communication. Because algorithms are aggressively pushing content based on predicted relevance rather than waiting for explicit keywords, they systematically favor individuals and institutions who deliver immediate, unadulterated clarity within the first few seconds of an interaction. If your content relies on a slow, self-indulgent build-up, or if it cloaks its actual value behind promotional ambiguity, the algorithm skips past you without hesitation and your prospective audience moves along with it. To remain relevant, your positioning must look like the definitive answer to a question the user has not yet verbalized. You have to design your material to show the ultimate outcome within the first breath, using structured question-based hooks and clear on-screen titles that match the internal monologue running through your audience's mind. Your primary job is no longer to catalog information, but to become the immediate answer before the question is formally asked. To execute this, we must closely examine how human beings actually input queries into modern interfaces. The vast majority of professionals are still operating under the outdated belief that short, punchy captions and highly stylized, abstract visuals are enough to capture attention. But when you look at actual behavioral telemetry, people are utilizing social platforms exactly like advanced search engines. They are not typing broken, isolated keywords. They are entering full, complex sentences, deeply descriptive problems, and specific situational context directly into the search fields of these applications. If the structural phrasing of your material does not map perfectly to that natural human language, the algorithm remains entirely blind to your expertise, and your capability remains locked away from the people who need it most. Human beings search incomplete sentences because they are looking for situational empathy and contextual proof. They are typing highly specific long-tail phrases like, "How do I fix my dry skin in winter?" or "What is the best project management tool for small remote teams?" or "How do I create a sustainable personal budget if I have an inconsistent freelance income?" These are not cold, detached keyword strings. These are real-life human scenarios infused with immediate emotional stakes, operational context, and acute intent. People trust these platforms because the answers do not arrive as cold blocks of unverified text, but as immediate, living demonstrations and clear, transparent walkthroughs. The platforms themselves are rapidly adapting their entire infrastructure to support this shift. Short-form video networks are actively integrating trending search questions directly into creator dashboards. Photo sharing applications are dynamically pulling context from deep within written captions and on-screen graphical text. And video repositories are automatically indexing every single spoken word within a file to match it directly against user questions. This means that long-tail natural phrasing is no longer a secondary optimization tactic. It has become the fundamental metadata that dictates whether you exist or disappear in the digital ecosystem. If you fail to use the exact vocabulary of your audience's underlying problem, you forfeit that discovery moment to a competitor who simply took the time to describe the issue more clearly than you did. Consider the stark difference between a generic promotional headline like "Transform your skin with this amazing routine" versus a search-optimized structured headline like "How to fix dry skin in winter, 3 dermatologist-approved tips." The first example is completely invisible to a search algorithm because it contains zero indexable context, while the second example maps perfectly to the exact thoughts a user types into a query box. To align your path with this reality, you must build your presence around data-driven human inquiries rather than internal assumptions. You can leverage advanced aggregate intelligence tools to look past the surface and see the exact long-tail queries, comparative questions, and prepositional phrases that people are utilizing across search networks and AI platforms. When you uncover those precise structural questions, you must systematically embed them as your primary video hooks, your structural captions, and your prominent on-screen text overlays. You must answer complex problems in an authoritative conversational format that prioritizes immediate utility over corporate promotion. When your structural language mirrors how human beings naturally think and type, the algorithmic system can instantly recognize your material as the single most relevant answer and surface it to the user automatically. Part 2: The Algorithmic Enclosure and the Rise of GEO. As we transition into the second major phase of this shift, we have to look directly at the hidden mechanics of platform architecture, metadata structure, and the absolute reality of what is known as indexable content. Many individuals still harbor the romantic notion that pure, unoptimized quality is the sole determinant of success on the modern web. But the cold truth is that an algorithm cannot distribute or rank an asset that it cannot fundamentally comprehend. A digital system processes and understands information in a manner that closely mirrors how a highly analytical human schemes a complex document. It searches relentlessly for immediate structure, clear categorization, and contextual signposts. If your material is not instantly scannable at a single glance, the platform has no scalable mechanism to classify your knowledge or match it to the exact audience searching for it. Across every major social and video network, algorithms are actively passing your output the exact same way a researcher schemes a technical manual. They are extracting the primary headlines, mapping out the distinct section breaks, and aggressively pulling semantic data from your written descriptions, your graphical on-screen text, and your automated audio transcriptions. When a piece of information utilizes organized bullet points, distinct conceptual modules, and explicit, unambiguous language, the automated system can extract its core utility instantly. This is the precise reason why specialists who prioritize clean structural formatting, deeply detailed captions, and direct, transparent terminology consistently outperform accounts that rely on high production visuals paired with weak, unstructured metadata. Algorithms operate entirely on explicit structural signals. They do not guess and they do not assume. Unstructured material is, for all practical purposes, completely non-existent to an indexer. If an asset lacks a definitive declarative topic, a deeply contextual description, or clear text markers, the system cannot categorize it, index it, or distribute it effectively. To achieve true visibility in this new era, you must treat every single piece of digital content you produce as a structured searchable asset. This means you must intentionally design your captions with bold headlines and clear thematic breaks. You must incorporate on-screen text that continuously reinforces your primary conceptual points. You must ensure your audio tracks are pristine so that automated subtitle systems can read and index your spoken words perfectly. When your material is intentionally engineered for seamless data extraction, the underlying platform can immediately identify its precise utility, categorize it accurately within its database, and push it directly into the paths of the individuals who are actively looking for that specific solution. This structural evolution brings us to one of the most critical and uncomfortable shifts occurring right now: the weaponization of on-platform transactions as primary ranking signals. For years, traditional organizations operated under the comfortable assumption that social media was merely a top-of-funnel billboard designed to drive cheap awareness before funneling users back to an independent corporate website. But the operational reality of the current ecosystem is that major platforms are no longer interested in acting as free traffic conduits for your external domain. They are moving aggressively to construct entirely closed-loop ecosystems, and they are directly modifying their ranking algorithms to heavily reward content that keeps human attention locked completely inside their native environments. Every major network is altering its incentive structure to enforce this closed-loop philosophy. Photo and video platforms are massively boosting the organic distribution of accounts that enable native in-app checkouts. Short-form video applications are disproportionately prioritizing creators and businesses that facilitate direct commercial purchases through their native commerce tabs. Major video engines are pushing hard for integrated product tagging and internal shopping features that allow a viewer to transact without ever pausing a video. The commercial logic behind this is absolute. Digital networks generate their core revenue when users remain actively engaged within their application boundaries. The exact moment you attempt to direct a user to an external link, the platform detects an exit signal, notes the potential loss of attention and ad revenue, and systematically suppresses the reach of that specific asset. Conversely, when a user executes a complete transaction, fills out an integrated lead form, or saves an asset within the application, The algorithm registers the highest possible signal of user value and platform alignment. Because these corporations measure their ultimate success by user retention and internal monetization, they reward that ecosystem compliance with massive compounded organic distribution. To survive this tactical shift, you must adapt your operational funnel. You must utilize advanced automation systems to initiate direct, conversational relationships within private messages rather than forcing users to click away to an external landing page. You must replace outbound links with native, built-in lead forms that allow prospects to input their information seamlessly without ever breaking their immersion. The structural difference in performance is devastatingly clear. If your call to action is click the link in my bio to learn more, the algorithm identifies that as an exit trigger and your overall reach immediately drops. If your approach is tap the product tag or comment below to receive this guide directly in your messages, the algorithm sees prolonged retention, high engagement, and immediate platform utility, which causes your reach to scale exponentially. Operating within this closed-loop framework is no longer an optional optimization strategy. It is a baseline survival requirement. The moment an algorithm detects that your online presence acts as a consistent exit ramp that drains attention away from its ecosystem, your visibility will be systematically throttled in favor of brands that help the platform retain its audience and drive internal revenue. This structural enclosure is precisely why the traditional SEO framework that built the online businesses of the last 2 decades is collapsing. This is not a slow, distant projection. It is a massive structural realignment happening right now. For 20 years, the undisputed goal of digital optimization was simple and binary. You ranked number one on a search results page, you won the primary share of voice, and you captured the direct website click. The entire global marketing apparatus, every corporate training program, and billions of dollars of institutional budgets were built entirely on that single foundation. But that foundation has fundamentally fractured because the search engine results page has transformed from an open doorway into an absolute destination. When you look at modern search telemetry, well over half of all standard digital inquiries now end completely without a single click to an external website. This phenomenon is known as the zero-click world. It is happening because search systems are no longer acting as passive directories that point users toward outside sources. They are utilizing advanced artificial intelligence to synthesize information, summarize complex data, and answer the user's question directly at the very top of the page. Google is executing this move as a core survival strategy because it is locked in an existential struggle for human attention against advanced conversational models like ChatGPT, Perplexity, and Claude. If a search engine forces a user to click through 10 separate blue links to piece together an answer, that user will permanently abandon the engine in favor of an AI system that delivers a flawless, unified summary in seconds. Therefore, search engines are deliberately choosing to retain that traffic on their own pages, even if it means starving traditional websites of the organic clicks they have relied on for survival. This shift does not mean that search optimization is dead. Rather, it means the old game of rank tracking has become completely obsolete. The new frontier is not about ranking a specific web page, it is about being explicitly cited within the AI-generated answers. Conversational engines do not present a diverse list of choices. They analyze vast swaths of data, construct a definitive narrative response, and insert highly specific citations to indicate where the information originated. The brand, the professional, or the institution that is natively woven into that unified answer wins the entire customer journey, while every other entity in the category becomes completely invisible. There is no page 2 in a conversational interface. You are either embedded directly within the answer, or you do not exist to the user. This new discipline is known as Generative Engine Optimization, or GEO. To win the game of GEO, you have to realize that these advanced artificial models do not pull their primary citations from your corporate blog or your self-promoted website text. Instead, They constantly scan the broader web to find an organic consensus among real human beings. They are pulling their references from independent third-party mentions, detailed forum discussions, highly structured video reviews, and industry publications where authentic individuals are actively analyzing your expertise. The traditional playbook of simply optimizing your own domain and building insular authority is now merely the floor, not the ceiling. The true ceiling requires you to establish a pervasive, authoritative presence across the entire digital landscape. Your website is no longer the ultimate digital product. Your brand's overarching presence across the entire internet is the product. This means your institutional tracking metrics must be completely overhauled. The smartest organizations have stopped measuring abstract keyword rankings entirely. Instead, they are measuring their specific share of voice inside AI-generated answers. They are deploying advanced analytics to track exactly how many times their name is surfaced when a prospect asks an AI engine for a categorical recommendation. If you are still presenting traditional rank tracking spreadsheets to your executive teams, you are effectively scoring a game that has already concluded. You must benchmark your current AI citation share against your top competitors and realize that this single metric will dictate market dominance for the next 24 months. The entities dominating this new era did not achieve visibility by simply writing slightly longer articles or stuffing more keywords into their pages. They achieved dominance by ensuring their expertise is discussed, verified, and referenced in more independent digital spaces than anyone else in their niche. Large language models are engineered to seek out deep cross-platform consensus across independent sources. The more frequently your knowledge is cited across diverse networks, video channels, and professional forums as a definitive authority, the more unhesitatingly the AI systems will treat your perspective as the default trusted answer. This completely erases the old boundary between traditional brand public relations and technical search optimization. Digital PR, community cultivation, podcast appearances, and strategic creative partnerships are no longer separate awareness plays. They have become the literal engine of your modern search visibility. The thin, keyword-stuffed content, the automated filler text, and the shallow listicles that flooded the internet for years are now completely dead weight. To survive the generative engine filter, your output must be the most definitive, structurally complete, and authoritative answer to a specific human problem available on the internet. It must be designed with absolute clarity, explicit evidence, and clear attribution so that an AI system can seamlessly extract a single sentence, drop it into a user's response, and cite you as the ultimate source. The old system has collapsed, and the new world requires you to build a presence that compounds across search engines, social platforms, and artificial intelligence networks simultaneously. As we conclude this episode, one message becomes clear. The future of visibility is no longer about ranking higher on a single platform. It is about becoming discoverable wherever people search, learn, compare, and make decisions. Whether that happens on social media platforms, community forums, video content, or AI-powered recommendation systems, the brands that win will be the ones that consistently provide value, answer real questions, and build trust across multiple channels. The shift from traditional SEO to social search and AI-driven discovery is not a temporary trend. It is a structural change in how information is found and how buying decisions are made. Businesses that adapt early will build lasting advantages, while those relying solely on yesterday's playbook may find themselves increasingly invisible. Thank you for joining me on the IGC Gate podcast. I am Zayd Haji, author, research student, management consultant, and counselor. If you found this episode valuable, share it with someone who is navigating the future of marketing, business, branding, or digital growth. And remember, the most important opportunities often belong to those who understand change before it becomes obvious to everyone else. Until next time, keep learning, keep questioning, and keep growing.